Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a BBC announcer speaking, telling you about a new program that will be coming on your sets, your radio sets here within the week. And I'm speaking in a very posh voice because BBC announcers tend to do this sort of thing, and I myself do not. Anyway, as you could probably tell, I am back from my trip to Arizona, and this, once again, is not me. This is Georges Simenon, a Belgian novelist and mystery writer who wrote over 500 books, actually. It says over 175 here, but he wrote over 500 of little thin books about this thin. Ridiculous. But it's basically France's answer to Sherlock Holmes and such. But anyway, I thought I may as well, as my sort of coming back video, I figured since I went over my top whatever of Parliament songs a few weeks ago, I thought I may as well talk about George Clinton's other band, Funkadelic, and present to you my top 20 Funkadelic songs. So do not sit back this time. Instead, I commend you to get off your arse and jam. Number 20 comes from their first album, Funkadelic, and it is the song I'll Bet You. Their first, maybe 3 albums had a very strong emphasis on the delic, and was mainly, I guess, inspired by Jimi Hendrix and all that type of thing as well. And they're not really all that great, although there are, a few good tracks on them, I think. And I'll Bet You is one of them. A lot of really nice wordplay in it, and it's got a hell of a beat to it. It's not really funky at all. It's more or less kind of bluesy, a little bit. But I'd recommend you give this one a listen. My number 19 also comes from this album, and it is Music for My Mother. The main reason why I like this one, it's a great quasi-instrumental, but it's also built on some wah-wah type of thing, and there's a lot of really great vocals in it, and such, and I just really love when George screams at the top of his lungs singing "I'm funky and I'm proud" at the end of it. And there's 3 different versions of it. There's the original version, the 1969 version, and the instrumental version. All versions are good, in my opinion, so do yourself a favor and listen to it. Number 18 comes from their second album, Free Your Mind and Your Ass Will Follow. It's the song Friday Night, August the 14th. This one, it is borderline rock. It really is. But it's a good one as well. Very catchy and such, and you will find yourself grooving to it, even though there's not much groove in it, and there is a lot of screaming in this track, just to warn you, but once you get past that, you'll find that really it's kind of a hidden gem in the catalogue, really. My number 17? Yeah, 17, comes from the album America Eats Its Young, and it is the title track, America Eats Its Young. I've only got a few words to say about this. It is, in fact, the hottest orgy ever recorded. Listen to it. You will get off quite easy. Really, you will. 16 comes from the album Tales of a Kid, Funkadelic, and it is the song The Undisco Kid. I love the guitar work in this. And really, that's pretty much the only reason why I like it. It's kind of like a Parliament song, except without horns, as most people call it, but and it may potentially have been an outtake as well. from another album they did, Hardcore Jollies. But if you like guitar work and such, the opening riff really is something to write home about. At least 100 letters. So, number 15, we have another selection from Marguerite It's Young, and it is a joyful process. What defines Parliament and Funkadelic from each other? People tend to get the two confused. They think they are the same band, pretty much, but they call Funkadelic Parliament and Parliament Funkadelic, something or other. But the main, I guess, defining factor between the two is that Parliament uses horns in almost every single track, whereas Funkadelic uses no horns at all, practically. This song is the only one, as far as I know, in their catalogue that does have a horn in it. And it's really a good one. Very, very funky, and just a high-class instrumental, in my opinion. Number 14 comes from the album Maggot Brain, and it is the title track, Maggot Brain. Everybody should know this song. If they don't, then they should really listen to it. It's basically one big, long guitar solo played by Eddie Hazel, and the story behind this one is that George actually told him, Eddie Hazel, that is, to play the guitar as if he found out his mother had died, but 5 minutes later he discovered that none of that information was true. So it's a very rapturous piece, a very good piece. It has some good poetry in it in the beginning and towards the middle as well. Just give it a listen. Number 13 comes from Tales of a Kid Funkadelic, and it is the song Butt to Butt Resuscitation. A very strange name, and another song that does feature prominent guitars, and let me tell you, the guitar work in this is phenomenal. It really is, and also the main chorus too is quite catchy. It's one of those songs that really you'd think would not be an outtake, because really this, as I said, this album, Tales from a Kid Funkadelic, is mostly outtakes. You'd think it would be like on like another album like Hardcore Jollies or something or other, but I don't understand why this one got cut, but it's a good thing it made it to this album. Number 12, is it? Yeah, 12. Comes from the album Cosmic Slop, and it is the title track, Cosmic Slop. This one is a very good piece to dance to. It's got a good rhythm to it. The lyrics themselves are, I would assume, semi-autobiographical to somebody or other's life. I don't know whether it was George Clinton's life or Gary Scheiter, because he actually, I believe, sings, is the lead vocals on this track, but it's very, I guess you could say, I'm going to use this expression a lot, profound and such, and another earworm. A lot of these seem to be earworms with me. I have no idea why, but I guess that's good. Number 11 comes from the album One Nation Under a Groove, and it is the title track, One Nation Under a Groove. Everybody, I'm sure, knows this song. It's been covered by plenty of rap artists and such, or sampled at least by plenty of rap artists, and was also in the film Straight Outta Compton. And this song is also, I suppose you could say, it's the anthem for funk music, and just phenomenal work in terms of the instruments and the vocals. Very, not so much catchy, except mainly like the main part, you know, One Nation Under a Groove, Getting down just for the funk of it. You know, that type of thing. But just a great dance number as well. Kind of like Flashlight, but I don't know much more to say about it. Number 10 comes from Cosmic Slop, and it is the song Let's Make It Last. This song, like Parliament's Up for the Downstroke, does deal with the concept of enduring love. And it's a very sentimental song, but it's a very powerful song, a very reassuring song for those who happen to be hopeless romantics. And it just shows you how great music really was back then, and now how it is today, where it's just all about material worth and not at all about, making it last. So this one is very underrated in my opinion, so just go listen to it. Number 9 is actually a recent favourite. It's off of the album One Nation Under a Groove, and it is Lunch Meat a Phobia, or Think It Ain't Illegal Yet. It's a very guitar-heavy bass song, and it could hardly be considered funk at all. Kind of like, Friday Night, August the 14th. But it's a very, very good song, and it just goes to show you that had Jimi Hendrix survived past 1970, him and Funkadelic would likely have did a collaboration together, and it just shows you the major influence that he did have on George and everybody down there. So number 8 comes off the album Let's Take It to the Stage, and it is the song Good to Your Earhole. This song is the perfect mixture of rock and funk. Pretty much this whole album really mixes rock and funk pretty seamlessly, and this song is especially a good example of that, and it's also very, as I said, not catchy, or I keep calling these things catchy. It's really an overused, tired expression, but I do like this one, and it does prompt one to dance and such. So there's that. The perfect mixture of funk and rock, good to your ear hole. Number 7 comes off the album The Electric Spanking of War Babies, and it is the song Icka Prick. It sounds, some people say it kind of sounds like one of Prince's songs of the day, because at the time Funkadelic was signed up with Warner Brothers, as was Prince, so you could kind of see that influence there. But this song is very good wordplay in it, very disgusting wordplay actually. But I won't say any of it here because I do not want to be flagged, but go ahead and hear it for yourselves. And also, the guitar riff on this bears a striking resemblance to Give Up the Funk or Tear the Roof Off the Sucker by Parliament, if a bit more electric. I forgot, my number 6 also comes off this album as well, and it's Electro Cuties. This is a very, oh god, how do I explain it? It's kind of, it sounds very much like Parliament in the sense that it is primarily a dance number. I'll just move that out of the way. But it's also very catchy and such in terms of the chorus, cutie, electro cuties, and there is some wordplay in it, but mainly I just listen to it for, I guess, the the factor of, finding a good jam to which to groove. So give that one a hunt down. We're going into the top 5 here, and my number 5 comes off the album Standing on the Verge of Getting It On and Getting It On. Anyway, the song in question is Alice in My Fantasies. This is a very, very rocky song, and I'm surprised it's not played on most rock stations, because it very much resembles something by Led Zeppelin, specifically A Whole Lot of Love. And let's say George Clinton, he yells quite a lot in this song, but nowhere near to the extent of Not Just Knee Deep or something like The Freeze. But, it's kind of like the inflection of it is alright, but the lyrics themselves are also kind of sentimental, but if a bit gross as well. But it's kind of a sexy little ditty if you ever plan to listen to it, so I guess that's my stint on that. My number 4 comes off of One Nation Under a Groove, and it is Who Says a Funk Band Cannot Play Rock, or Can't Play Rock, whatever it is. Catchy as hell, and a great, piece in which guitars are showcased and such. This is kind of another song that blends funk and rock together not as seamlessly as Good to Your Ear Hole, but it's pretty good. My number 3 comes off the album Hardcore Jollies, and it is the song If You've Got Funk, You Got Style. This, out of all the entirety of their catalogue, is the only song I think is just too short. This song is really, it is the earworm of earworms, and once you listen to it, you want to listen to it again because you would have felt that, it's over already, you gotta be kidding me. But, it sounds more or less like Parliament, but it's uniquely Funkadelic, and as I said, listen to it once, listen to it 1,000 times. Number 2 comes off the album Uncle Jam Wants You, and there's George right there, and it is the song Not Just Knee Deep, their 15-minute magnum opus. Everybody knows this song, I'm sure. It was sampled by, I forget the group, but it was the song Me, Myself, and I, a rap number, and it also featured in the film Good Burger, made by Nickelodeon, for whatever reason, but hey, at least they're spreading the funk around. That's good. And there are 2 versions of this. There's a 4-minute version that they play on the radio, or would play on the radio if they actually had some sense in their heads, and there's the full 15-minute version. If you want to listen to this song, you're going to want to listen to the full version, because you will not get the full experience if you listen to the 4-minute version, and you will not hear any of the awesome guitar work that is implemented by Eddie Hazel. This also, in my opinion, marks the beginning of the destruction of George Clinton's vocal cords. If you've heard this song before, you know exactly what I am talking about. But this is a classic. And my number 1 comes off of this album as well, and it is one of those songs which I think is their most underrated song. One that I do not believe they ever played live, which is very unfortunate. But it's called Freak of the Week. It sounds similar to Not Just Knee Deep, but not really. It kind of has its own take. Tremendous instrumental work on this, tremendous vocals, tremendous everything. Sounds kind of more disco. And I tell you, this song, it's a long one, but once you listen to it, if you listen to it once, you're gonna want to listen to it again and again and again. It's the penultimate definition of a hidden gem right here. And if you, this whole album, Uncle Jam Wants You, I only think there's like 2 tracks worth listening to on it, and those are Not Just Knee Deep, obviously, and this one, Freak of the Week. So, that's that. Well, I'm kind of out of breath here, because I've been talking for about half an hour and such about funk, and I just want to rest my voice. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video, and be sure to expect many more to come in the future. Hopefully now that I'm actually back from Arizona, and I have a whole shipment of books coming, as I said, and I suppose I'll see you later, in the very near future, and give up the funk, or get off your arse and jam, whatever it is they say, the Funketeers.